Yes, sir.
Hit the StreamYard, go live.
All right, we are live, baby. We are live,
We
baby.
are live, of course. All right. Roots, Heart, and Soul podcast. Roots, Heart, and
And soul. And
my
soul, baby.
and soul baby. We got the goddess of soul on here right now. Todd, Chef Todd Richards here, along with Chef Stephan. Welcome to the Roots Heart Soul podcast. Roots Heart Soul is based on my book Roots Heart Soul with Amy Condon on Harper Collins. It's available on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. Fine books are sold. And then of course we have co-host Chef Stephan, and we have the lovely the high priestess of cocktails,
Absolutely,
Tiffany
Miss Tiffany
Berrouet.
Berrier. Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah,
you
baby.
know. So Chef Stefan, in our working order, we're here every Tuesday, Roots Our Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network, founded in New York, now going global, worldwide, got us on here as well. And Chef Stefan, please introduce the fine people here on our
Ooh,
podcast to Tiffany, please.
ooh. I gotta pull my notes
All right.
because her resume is like something to not
Well,
to.
why you doing that? Tiffany and I are going to toast because we cannot have a cocktail a podcast without toasting. So cheers, cheers. You know,
Fine.
mm,
So
delicious.
Tiffany, welcome to Roots Heart and Soul. Obviously, we are so happy to have you here. Um, we wanna definitely do you justice with such a beautiful resume of yours. You know,
It's a long one.
yeah. But you
A
know
lot
what? But you know what? I like it and I respect it because um, sometimes we tend to not give ourselves the flowers that we surely deserve.
Well, you sure as hell can't smell flowers from bottom up. So eh, don't give my
Oh.
flowers when I'm dead. Give it to me now. Come on, Steph. Let the people know about Tiffany. Let's go.
I'm having a hard time trying to find my notes,
Okay, well, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
but
I'm just,
but we'll come back to that. We'll come back to
okay.
that.
All right, so let's just get started. So Tiffany and I, most people don't know, we go way back. I mean way back. I mean almost 2008. Back and things like that. So to have her on the podcast, especially talking about cocktail culture, something that you and I don't talk about enough. A lot of times they see us on the podcast or they hear us on the podcast, and we're toasting and we're having a good time. But we finally have someone on here who could tell us about cocktail culture. But Tiffany, what we wanted to start with is really finding out what is your roots. Where did you come from? Who's your family? Where's your lineage? How did you get here?
So proud. So happy to be here first and foremost. Yes, we go
Mm,
all the way back.
all right,
I'm sure we'll unpack that as we're here, but
absolutely.
I will say out the gate, I'm not sure I would be here if I didn't meet you, Todd. So I'm always going to say thank you and raise a glass. I come from the Bayou, proud to be a Southern woman, that real Bayou, South Central Louisiana, not that New Orleans stuff. I'm talking Opelousas, Ville Platte, Grand Coteau. My father is from Port Arthur, Texas, right on the state line of Texas and Louisiana. So when people always say, "Where are you really from?" If you know anyone that's born on the state line, right in that area, that's where I'm from. I claim two states, Texas
Wow.
and Louisiana.
Well, I mean that's so crazy. When we talk about that part of the country, because I don't think that New Orleans, of course, gets the big push and everything like that. Being on two state lines, you got Texas and Louisiana. I mean, I can imagine the college football lore. I can imagine the fight over the crawfish, over the shrimp. Stephan's from Haiti, so I know he's got a lot to say on that area as well. Stephan, what do you think about that lineage where she comes from?
Oh, listen, you don't have to say. I have to say in parentheses, side note. I've been trying to connect with Tiffany for the last 5 since 2018, if I believe, when I was trying to get her to Haiti, just like I did for you.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. Well, you should just call me. You didn't ask me. I was out of the country. No, that's not true. I was out of the country. I was out of the country when you did ask me that. So that's on me, not on her. That's on me. So I'll own that. I'll own that. I'll own that so well. So, for all who just joined us the first 5 minutes, we're on Roots Heart Soul Podcast, Heritage Radio Network. Chef Todd Richards, Chef Stephan, here with Tiffany Berrouet. And Stephan, did you find a resume? I know you're
Yes, I
asking
did. Yes, I
in
did.
your
Yes,
young
I
age.
did.
So please tell the good
Yes, I
folks,
did. Yes, I
who we
did.
have here.
Yes, I did. So Tiffany is a mixologist, bartender, influencer, and educator who has earned some of the beverages industry highest honors, including the 2023 Bartender of the Year from Women of Whiskey and the 2023 Tales of the Cocktail Visionary Award for building equity, inclusivity, and leadership in the drinks community. She is also the tastemaker of the South Award, the inaugural Tony Tipton Award from the International Association of Culinary Professionals, and the Dame of the Year from the Tales of the Cocktail Foundation. I could go on, but I'm glad that this first segment of your resume brings me to my most important question. Um, and please correct me if I go on a tangent here, or if I'm wrong. Um, in my personal attention to the industry, just like in the chefing industry as well, we see a male-dominated, white, um, you know, type of professionals that really take on the industry and holds it on a block of ice. And for you to have been able to break all these barriers, not only as a woman, but as a woman of color, is extraordinary. Tell me how did you you know push
How'd you get
those
here?
push those boundaries, and how did you get here?
Ooh, we're coming out the gate with it.
I know you did. I
Absolutely,
mean, no
absolutely.
Vaseline, just
Wait,
raw,
No,
just
breathe
no, no,
in.
no, no.
Let's get into it.
right.
Thank you for that question, because I often ask myself, and I have in the past few years being independent, ask myself, how did I get here? What am I doing differently? I think I'm just going to work every day. I'm just trying to get things done, keep playing tennis every day. But I did realize my superpowers recently, which is more than my personality, but I have the power of optimism. And when you're in a room like that and you've been tokenized, or you kind of, you go to these festivals or meetings or seminars, and you realize you're the only one, we have a bit of armor on us already, but we have our ears and our eyes wide open. And in the slums of it all, I see the missing link. And I get very optimistic about the space. I'm the only one. Well, then, I have a job to do. That means I need to take something from this and bring it back, Robin Hood style, learn from it and share it. I realized that mentorship was really hard to find in my industry because there is no blueprint for bartending, really, in general, especially for women, especially for Black women. Our blueprint looks like slavery. It looks like in-house. It looks like, silent service. So I just took it upon myself to be more optimistic about it and own the space of service and hospitality. How hard can it be to be kind? And it's not that hard in a wicked world. It's not that hard in a thirsty place. So I channeled into my superpowers in certain places and rooms and faces and spaces. And I put some light around bartending, which I think is not done enough, let alone from someone Black, because our community is still healing from so much. So if I can raise a glass to anything, I'm going to do it in every single room. I'll say that's kind of how I've navigated, but it has not been easy. It is not easy every day. It's not, I'm making it look easy when I share it, but it's not easy at all.
I would agree with you in terms that it's not easy. And Stephan, he has no filter. He just asks questions. He comes out the gate. He'll hit you hard. Which is so refreshing about our podcast because this is not only a safe space, but it's an intelligent space. It's a conversation space. We're just here to have conversations with people. And one thing that Stephan really is asking them, and we also want to know like what was your first job? Like what before you even started bartending, like what was that first job that got you into working and being, because your personality is you are service oriented, you want to see people happy, but what was that first job you walked into?
My first job was at a dry cleaners.
Oh wow, keeping it clean, so fresh and so clean.
I was asked to greet the guests and take their laundry and sort it. There was a transaction immediately in the trust. They're giving you your clothes. I was an under the table paying job. I snuck that job from my parents. They did not know I had that job. It was down the street from my high school. I'd leave from practice and I'd go get some extra cash. And I just thought that was just, I wanted to do something noble. I wanted also my clothes clean. Getting your clothes at the cleaners was kind of fancy.
Right.
So I worked at the cleaners first out the gate. I worked there all of 3 months before my father dropped his clothes off at that cleaners and was like, she quits today. She was no longer working.
All right, got busted. I understand that. So yeah. how did that job, that sense of working at such a youthful age, and you're still youthful, you're younger than both of us old farts on here, but what did that job do to really prepare you for the restaurant industry in the whole?
I think I knew out the gate, work looked like helping people. My mother was a teacher. My mother is a teacher. My father was a mechanic. Service was already our thing. So I felt like giving and doing was what a job was supposed to be. So things like cleaning, my grandmother was a maid. Both of my grandmothers were maids. I just figured that I'm supposed to give. That was what a job looked like. And I felt very comfortable doing it because I had the energy to do it. I'm one of the people who actually like people. Even in the weirdest moments, I love people.
Wow. Stephan, what question do you have for Tiffany?
No, it's important that we don't hold punches and hold, and go around the bush to really get to the nitty gritty of things. In my opinion, sometimes too much we fiddle, and that's never been my style. But now I understand the connection between you two. Now I understand the connection between you two.
Right.
A Bar Smart and Bar 5 certified beverage professional, Berrouet spent 7 years as the beverage director of the well-recognized, award-winning One Flew South.
Infamous,
One Flew South.
Of many nicknames, the restaurant has,
And let me tell you, to get the best airport bar award in the world by World 50 Best, that is incredible.
I mean, that's dropping like.
Let me tell you, if I wasn't inspired before, I'm inspired now.
I mean, for those who can't see us and who are listening to this podcast, to tell how far we go back, Stephan is the only one not drinking on this podcast right now. Like, we could not have this, right here.
I'm about to step out for about 2 minutes, for about 1 minute go get me my drink.
We beg your pardon. We beg your pardon.
Okay.
The party will be here until you get back.
We're at the bar. We'll see you when you come back.
Listen, I'm ready to have me some Haitian rum, 15-year-old Haitian rum, or some Clairin.
I was waiting. I was just hoping you said some Clairin,
or some Clairin that's sitting in the cupboard of Mr. Todd Rich's house, because I brought him so many bottles.
Yes. Sounds like a sports bar after Stephan leaves. The bottles clinking. So it's we're at the 15-minute mark here on the Roots Heart Soul podcast. Chef Todd Richards, Chef Stephan, our wonderful guest Tiffany Berrouet on Heritage Radio Network, and a couple other questions we want to ask before the half 30-minute mark here is the name drinking coach. you know,
Yes.
and there's plenty of coaches out there, you know, plenty of famous coaches, you know, Pat Riley, you know, things like that. But a drinking coach, which I think that somebody always needs to have a good drinking coach. Where did that name, that moniker come from? And why is it so synonymous with you?
The name was given to me. I did not come up with it.
Yeah.
Back to the beautiful One Flew South. Yes, we were recognized one of the best bars in the world. It wasn't 50 Best, which would have been great. It was Tales of the Cocktail, which I just came from, which is a very respected nonprofit Tutelage out of New Orleans, which gathers over 10,000 bartenders across the globe every year. So being recognized by them years ago as an airport bar, which literally I was there last week. People still, I was on my way to Tails and all that chaos. People still came through One Flew South, texting me in my DM, wondering if I'm there, even though they knew I wasn't there and I have not been there in years. They still make a point to head to New Orleans, or when any kind of chaos or even joy happens in Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, they make a point to come into that bar, which still touches my heart. And I love it. But the drinking coach started there. The drinking coach started before there was social media.
Right.
Well, it was about to start, actually, because everybody was building their Facebooks and Instagram was on its way in. And we had a server.
Showing my age, we had MySpace. That's showing my age.
With you. I had MySpace too. I was MySpace with my music in the background and my bedazzles coming down. Right. We were just connected. We were in the chat rooms at that point.
Right.
Now we're in the DMs, but we had a beautiful server by the name of Dana Brutus, who would sit at the service bar waiting on her cocktails that I would put out. And she was like, every time you put a drink out, you always have something to say. I was offended at first. Like, am I talking too much? Am I saying too much? I was dropping like quick, like bullet points every time. I would pour something and make something and be like, it came from Netherlands and I use this kind of bitters and I shook it because of this. And she's like, you're coaching them. Every time you put a drink down, you just don't silent serve. And she's like, you're like the drinking coach. And we were like,
oh yeah. like the clues bombs dropped on that one, right?
Yeah, it was a joke. It was funny. Before I know it, Dana decided to say, let's start a social media for you. Let's make it the drinking coach. And if I may, she wanted to run it. And so she started my Instagram and she started the whole brand of the drinking coach.
Wow.
I have a pertinent question to this conversation. When you find yourself being the only one or one of the very few, first of all, how does that make you feel in terms of uncomfortability enough for you to say, I got to bring others into the space that look like me, that speak like me, but and how do I become a kingmaker?
Chef, that's a there's layers to that answer. Okay, first of all, I told you I'm an optimist. So when I'm the only one in the room, I feel chosen immediately. Ooh, I'm here. Yay. I'm like, I'm yes, we at the table. Younger in my career, I did not pay attention to that. I did not care about being the only one. I cared about being the one. As I grew into it, it got lonely because I would get in that room and look for someone I could just kind of do a little, moment with, or if I had to speak, I wanted to connect my story. I didn't want to feel awkward. I didn't want to laugh at certain jokes. I felt a bit lonely in the space. So selfishly, me wanting people in the room was because I was lonely. I'm like, I need more sisters and brothers in this room so I can sidebar. And it wasn't just to be on the negative sidebar. It was just to hear the things I'm hearing and, retaliate if needed be, or stand up for my own community. I didn't really, and I still don't feel tokenism. I knew that it was tokenism, but I didn't feel that way because of the optimism that I have in my mind is I'm here for a reason. We have a job to do. Mm-hmm. Inviting people in the room has been good and bad. I have to vet. My father taught me very early, everybody can't come. And I want to bring everybody. I'm like, we need to all go. But there's so much strategic work that has to be done, unfortunately, in this marginalized world. So I take my time and look at the room that I'm in, and then I work my way from the top down.
I mean, Stephan, it really brings up another question that we really want to talk about, and when you really talking about inclusivity, and bringing people together, you know, you know, cocktails have always done that. The bar has always been this place where people could come together, and what, how do you set up your bar, in general? Just to have people come together to sit, what is that welcoming moment that people can expect when they walk in and see you behind the bar or near the bar area?
Yeah. Oh, I love setting up a bar. Cleanliness first. Oof. I
Mhm.
love clean. I love tidy. I love shiny. Spotless. I need it to be welcoming. We want to walk into a place that's clean first.
I apologize to cut you off, but wait,
Here.
but Stefan, so we got to
What
all
kind of
toast.
toast?
We're on a toast, hey.
Monsieur. Monsieur, we
Here,
want toast.
here's a Roots Heart Soul podcast. Tiffany Berrouet, Chef Todd Richards, Chef Stefan, Heritage Radio Network. We are toasting to each other on this wonderful day. And now, Tiffany, sorry to cut you off, but Stefan was raising a drink, so we want to get back in there.
Listen,
So,
listen. I am very lucky to be around one of my favorite uncles who gladly gave me a little something to drink.
I mean, he pours like a pour. Hell, I mean, that's like I'm a little, a little jealous here. But let me let me bring the question back. So we were just asking Tiffany, how does she set up the bar to make sure that people are welcome, everyone's inclusive, and how make everyone feel welcome. And she was explaining, Tiffany, can you explain that again, please?
Yes. First and foremost, cleanliness. That's it. I need something shiny. I need clean. I need to look like somewhere you want to sit. Lighting is important. I'm not into the dim light. I like a bright light. We are the centerpiece of the restaurant. If I am at a bar at a restaurant, if it's just a regular bar, still, we are the eye candy of the space. It's like the bed in the bedroom. This is all you see. Music. Right. Number 3, the music has to have a vibe. We all just sip something together, and that joy, I mean, I literally could feel that come across the screen. As soon as you sipped it, you were like, yeah. But what makes you shake your head even more is good music. So good vibes, recognizable music. I'm back to clean. That back bar is my menu. I could throw you a menu all day, but people overlook the bartender every time or the paper, and they look for the back bar. They want to see bottles that they recognize or something that looks new, something that looks, inviting. We are the invitation. So, and then we're standing there waiting. We are looking like we're thirsty for you, approachability and ready. I don't like any chaos before walking into a bar. I want us to be standing there waiting for you, ready to serve. And I've known that since I was younger in life. I've just been ready to serve, standing there ready. Oh, and then these teeth.
The smile, the $1 million smile.
Every time we're smiling, we're giving nothing but face. Ladies and gents and those in between, we are smiling at all times. It's the most welcoming next to the eyes.
Wow. Stefan, what you got?
So I'm going to get into technicality now. So because as a chef, I also have a passion for the bar. And I think how important it is to have a bar menu that not only I wouldn't even use the word compliment, but that marriage, that connection between the bar menu and the food that I'm about to serve you. There has to be this intertwined, this thing called intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
How do you achieve that?
That's my favorite part. I no longer work in a restaurant anymore, so it's one of the things I miss. People ask me often, do you miss being behind the bar? Sometimes. I do miss working with the chef. I love, that was my first true love of growing into the industry. I was talking.
We can arrange that right now. So, we can get that out the way, So anyway, go ahead.
I love to pair. I've always respected the chef. There's the chef, the cook, whether it's been the men I've worked with, women I've worked with, down to my family. what's happening in the kitchen is fucking legit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What our job is to do up front is to engage and keep it popping until the plate comes out. And so I was taught definitely by Chef Todd and the way my menu needs to read like poetry. My menu needs to read very romantic. I need to woo you until that plate gets there. And so my menu is going to definitely encompass or be a juxtaposition of what Chef is doing. Knowing my palate, knowing the flavor wheel, knowing what the mission is for the night. Are we going to like take them all the way there? Or do we want them just to, it's a date. It's a whole date. And so me looking at the chef menu and listening to my chef or my mother and what we're eating allows me to just step into where I need to be, which is, if I may be honest, I'm number 2 at this spot at this time. Let me step to the side because you're gonna kill it, and I'm just here to get them where they need to be so you can put them to sleep.
Right.
So I've always loved looking at a menu and pairing it. I love it to death because what the chef is doing with all the ingredients is what I can do liquid wise, and sometimes pairing equally is too easy. So I get to have some fun, and spirits allow all of that. Spirits have everything from aging to botanicals to proof to color that allow me to pair. I have a playground. I have a whole circus to mess with, just like the chef does. I just need ice in a glass.
All right.
Being from Haiti, I have had the privilege, in my opinion, to have been able to sip what I gladly and unequivocally call probably one of the best rums in the world.
I agree.
Haiti also has more distilleries of agricole rum than anywhere else in the Caribbean. So I am passionate about rum. What is your go-to spirit?
Oh goodness, are you doing that?
I'm doing that.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
and sponsors beware. We don't
No.
want to put Tiffany too far on the spot. But go ahead. I'm waiting for this answer too, so I can write it down.
Let's be clear. You didn't say your go-to brands. You said go-to spirit.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's hear this.
My go-to spirit any day of the week, eyes closed, in and out. Gin.
Yeah.
Gin every day. There is a really aggressive and romanticness that comes with gin. I don't know any other spirit that has that many layers. I mean, sure, I could pick them out. I judge plenty of spirits. There's so many. I'm in love with them all. I'm a girl's girl. I want them all. But gin, being a neutral grain spirit with botanicals that can range from 3 to 40, can go everywhere. It's like asking me how you want to cook the fish. You can do anything with it. I'm having a gin martini now, easily in the freezer, ready to pull out. I can drink gin every day, and I have a handful of friends, 4 or 5, that is our shot of choice. Everybody listening, if you see me outside, don't give me a shot of. Give me a shot of whatever.
You're right.
But listening, bring me a shot of whatever. I'm gonna have it.
Right.
But if you heard me and you love on me, send me a shot of room temperature gin. I don't care. I love gin. I love it at room temp. There's a bit of history that goes behind why my palate's that way, but it must be London dry. Don't bring me flowers. Give me good juniper. Give me a bite. Give me Christmas. Give me spice. Give me licorice. I'm going on about it. I'm excited right now.
I know. I'm thinking. I'm going through my whole mental Rolodex of the back bar at One Flew South. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And we had this, and we had had that gin there. Which really speaks to to the that legacy of that you're at. We're at the 30-minute mark here. Roots Heart Soul podcast. Chef Stephan, Todd Richards here, Tiffany Berrouet. We got to give a couple shout outs to some really great friends.
Absolutely.
Right
Again, a big shout out to Heritage Radio Network for not only being our partners, but hosting this podcast, Roots, Heart, and Soul. And we also want to give a big shout out to another partner, the Creole Food Festival that is coming to Atlanta August 24th and 25th. And
Uh-oh.
I am taking the opportunity to ask Miss Tiffany if she would grace us with her, not only with her presence, but to do a cocktail demo for the festival.
He's like, what? He's
What
like,
took you
what?
so long? I got my ring finger out right now. What took so long to propose to me?
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Listen. I take my time to woo
Hmm?
you in before I propose.
I am so into it. It
Well,
will be
well, well, never mind. That's for later on conversations. I get on stuff on a lot
Todd,
about.
Todd,
I get on stuff on
Todd,
a lot. Okay,
Todd,
all right. I'm gonna leave it alone.
We'll
Todd.
I'm
fill
gonna
you in
leave.
later. We'll fill you
Okay,
in later.
no. We'll talk. We'll talk later, Stephan.
Mr.
But
Todd, come on now.
anyway, so Tiffany, one of the pressing questions I have here before we get kicked off the air is, of course, all of us here have been to bars, on both sides, but especially on the patron side. And when you walk into a bar, like, just what makes you smile? Just what makes you happy as a patron to walk into a bar and see what's going on?
Attentiveness is my number one thing. When I walk in a bar, I'm looking for eyes. Because again, once we pass the host, it's bar time. It's the eyes looking for us. I'm looking for eyes. I cannot emphasize cleanliness enough. We have our tools. To my chefs out there, an open kitchen is everything. We are an open kitchen behind the bar. Wiping down and moving constantly is something that I pay attention to. It makes me trust the space. It makes me trust the bar. The uniforms, even though we are, in the time frame of 2024, where we're seeing everything from button down to dress casual to crop tops, love it. But I'm looking at how you express yourself at the bar. I'm looking for confidence. We're bartenders. We have the control to be the narrative of the entire room. And I'm looking for that kind of energy when I step into a bar. I'm looking for the sound of ice shaking. I'm looking for wiping of tools. I'm looking for polishing. I'm looking for you showing off, because that's what we do as bartenders. I don't think we admire and uplift enough bartenders for being the centerpiece of the restaurant. You get a chance to look and be confidently who you are, eyes up. We don't have to have our head down. We can be that. And so that invites our guests, whether they are awkward or whether they're excited, we have that face to say, I got you. And so I'm looking for that kind of connection immediately after I'm looking at how clean your bar is.
A quick follow-up question, Stephan. I'll chime in on this one too. So do you think that's the reason why all us industry people go and sit at the bar? Like, we go and sit. I mean, you could have tables of every dignitary in the world, and I would still just want to go sit at the bar and eat. And is that part of the culture that we're looking for, that feedback from people when we go and sit at the bar?
Yeah, the bar is the communal table. The bar is a place where we sit, whether you're on a date or you are alone. It's a communal table, and it's the bartender's duty, hopefully honor, to be the orchestra conductor of that space. Whether it's 8 seats, whether it's 24 seats, we have the opportunity to conduct that. And we want to sit at the bar because, let's be honest. Some of us want to be seen. You're not sitting at the bar trying to hide. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but you're sitting at the bar alone or with someone to just kind of dig into it, do your own thing, whether it's one martini, whether it's 4 whiskey neats, and have your dinner and feel special, feel that one-on-one intimacy, and a bartender can do it. No, nothing against the servers who are running your food out and everything that's happening in the restaurant, but the bartender and the energy that's coming is very intimate, and it's just it calibrates from so many different energies, and before you know it, it becomes your most comfortable, most memorable space.
Getting thirsty all over again. What you got, Chef Stephan? You're on mute, Stephan. Open up your.
You said you just came back from Tales of the Cocktails. Tell me, if there was one action action that you would want to take, an intentional action that you would want to take to to even put a spin on the industry or a change on the industry, what would that be?
Finances. We're a tipping community. We don't, we, if you fall in love with it as early as I did, we just going to work to make this money. We're not really sure what to do. It's still not looked at as a real job, a real profession. I still don't know what I do for a living some days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would love to see a conversation on financing and branding. Everything I said earlier about the bartender and all the engagement and all the superpowers that they have on creating a space at, in the restaurant. Um, they are their own brands. They're a brand working for a restaurant. They are the entity. So I would love to see more conversations on what to do in a industry, in a community that doesn't make a lot of money and is still not looked at as a real job. Looking at it and hopefully comparing it and putting it in the full sentence of, it's called food and beverage.
Right.
Food and beverage,
Mm-hmm.
not food and sommelier,
Mm-hmm.
not food and wine program. Food and beverage encompasses everything because the bartender needs to know wine, beer, spirits, palate, service. They have to know everything, and they operate their own mini restaurant in that one little box. And so that's a lot of money that should be coming towards their way, a lot of energy that's put out, and they need to be compensated for that. So a conversation on both ends, what to do with your money and how to get that money, is what I want to see.
You bring up something, Stefan and I talk about a lot, and of course we're in a election cycle right now. Kamala Harris, is going to be the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee. And you're talking about policy. I mean, you're really speaking about policy right now. And what is one of those policies that, that you're speaking of that we can actually present to a person like Kamala or her group, to say, how can we improve this food and beverage industry, as you said, in order to make it better and also ensure longevity?
Yeah, I think we need to reopen the TIP Act. The TIP Act happened in the early 70s, maybe a little bit before that if I pull up another record. But basically, the moment of bartenders or people in service only being able to get tipped, that should be reopened. If we were one of the few communities that were able to be open during the pandemic because you needed us, we were a must and a need, that we need to understand that there is no insurance and we're still paid 213 in certain states. And if a restaurant chooses to pay you hourly, it's still under $10 just to allocate those dollars. The TIP Act is major, and I think that our community just sits on it, not knowing how to put it on the steps. But opening up that door and talk about what the TIP Act looks like versus it being forced down, a few of our patrons' guests. We're seeing gratuity added. Guests don't know why. We're seeing gratuity layered up. We don't know why. We're seeing gratuity added for insurance, and guests don't know why. There's not a voice loud enough to understand that people that work in service are paid tips only by government law. And so the TIP Act should be definitely reopened. We hope, and it's pushed that we should deserve the same amount of money, if not hourly salary, and also insurance.
Has that been broached at Tales of the Cocktail? Is that part of the subject matter group there? That you have 10,000 people there. It seems like you all have a good voting block, in order to make that happen.
It's a great topic, Todd. No, it hasn't been approached. The industry right now, especially at Tales of the Cocktail, are trying to really still sit on the fact that bartending is a real job. We're still working on being creative and seen and getting a job and working at a restaurant or getting an award for your bar program or getting a certification for your palate. We're still not working towards universally what we look like versus still trying to be seen as a community.
Well, I mean, that's just so problematic. I mean, it just brings up so. I mean, I can see Stefan's wheels turning, and everything, just trying to wrap, ourselves around that,
Listen, my as a person who has seen um, what the industry looked like in a country that's underdeveloped, in Haiti, and what we started back in 2010 in bringing value to the service industry in general, um, what chefs look like in the space in Haiti. This is the kind of conversation that really, uh, you know, heats me up, and really what this is the kind of conversation that we need to have on a not only on a local level but on a global level, because I think it's about time.
There's a lot of money to be made in spirits, liquid. Large brands and companies know that. We saw a humongous shift when the pandemic happened. We saw off-premise sales go up 300%. I didn't even know 300% could exist. People are drinking. However, if I may be clear, drinking, it looks like poison to more than half of the people that we know. To
Mhm.
say proudly I come from a drinking family, people are still like, oh my goodness. We're seeing a big move in non-alcoholic spirits. We're seeing a humongous move in THC and CBD beverages, because people still feel there's a huge taboo in drinking. And so there is something that we should talk about globally. Yet we are at war with those that enjoy a cocktail, because enjoying a cocktail has been looked at for years, since severance, since prohibition, that, whoa, too much is bad. And too much of anything is bad. But when it comes to spirits, in the US, you see, we have a surgeon general that guards that. We don't have the support that we have. So again, we have to be very strategic in what we do and very respectful into what we do and how we do it. Alcohol brands, from commercials to billboards to politics to sponsorship, that is not the space that people want. And I can't donate. I can't have a spirit brand donate to said nonprofit, because it wouldn't look right, yet they really want to do it. And so there's a conversation that should happen, yet understanding that people drink aren't always drunk.
I mean, the crazy thing about it though is that we say that in one breath, and then we say all the best business deals are made at the bar or at the dinner over, with two fingers of bourbon, or or over martinis. In
Three
my case, it's
martini
going
wines.
right.
People are fun.
My case is going to be champagnes. So we say that in one breath, but in another breath, we really are talking out, literally out both sides of our mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, back on the White House, and this is a pressing question that Stephan and I were talking about. And it's not, out of the realm to ask this question, but if you had the White House for one day, we want to know, what would that bar, like, what would that back bar look like? And I know it depends on which president, is in there, so of course, we're not going to tip your hand, saying which one you building it for, but what does that bar look like?
I don't think I've ever answered this question so neutrally, making this word up. I don't care what person was in there, but I know drinking does something. And we can't be in a room of power, a house of power, without champagne. So we definitely have a champagne bar on its own.
Right.
There's only a few spirits or things to drink that are celebratory. Champagne being one of them, tequila being number two. I would have the tequila bar like off in the garden, maybe off on the left for those that want to do the tequila thing. But I'd have a quality crafted open style of bar. I'd have a martini style of bar to give homage to our past presidents, to what they drank. I one of my favorite movies is The Butlers. So considering the staff that's inside, and the work that's been done and the lineage and the work that's in there, I would still think about past and present constituents. And so this is America. We would definitely have bourbon at the bar. I think my bars would be kind of themey. I would have a champagne bar. I would have a bourbon bar. And I would have, I'm going to say this because I'm fresh out of tails, I'd have an immigration bar. I
Uh-oh.
have a bar.
Hey, there's nothing now. Now we're getting down to it. I mean, because immigration. I mean, again, it's part of politics. It's amazing to me. How we don't want to talk about people coming from the southern border, yet they're bringing tequila, limes, and salsa with them. So, if you don't want them to come, then stop making salsa the top five condiment. Stop
What's
celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I'm sorry. Uh, let's tell the. I'm sorry, I only had one drink, so I ain't even got started. But anyway.
listen, immigration as we see it, as while we're on politics. I was in a beautiful seminar this past week, and immigration, without our immigrants, our more than half of our service industry wouldn't exist, from our dishwasher to the front of the house. They're coming here. It's one of the few places you can work in the States that doesn't need the things. Yet they're bringing so much loyalty, availability, and culture. And that happens in the bottle, from the margarita down to some funky gins I've had, down to rum, Chef Stephan, and every other spirit. I mean, like, I spoke to French spirit and I spoke to American spirit, but everything in between is not from this country. And so I'd love to honor that with an immigration bar full of all the things that you love to say yeah to, that make you shimmy, make you shake, and give some flavor profile. I'm a drinking coach, so I'm gonna make you taste whatever I want to taste.
I think I know where we're going in 2025 when we go to inauguration, Stephan. I think I drive, you navigate, and Tiffany just gets the
Listen,
bar. And let's
listen,
set it up.
listen. We will have a mobile bar in our van
Right.
going up to inauguration. I
Right.
think that would
Armadillo
be.
style. Armadillo.
I think that would be absolutely superb. Tiffany, we as top professionals in our industry, as leaders in our industry, we are asked this question all the time. If you had one, if you had and I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to say one, but if you had a couple of advice to a young uh, person of color specifically wanting to get into this space, what would be your top five advice?
I'm asked this question often. Top five. Like spirits.
Right.
First and foremost, there's no favorite. We like it all. If you don't like it, explain it. I need that palate to be pristine. I need you to understand your palate and your senses, whether it's your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, touch, mouth. I need to know. I want you to understand what the anatomy of spirits and what they do, from proof to cultural background to flavor profile. First and foremost, that's going to get you a solid. You can nerd out with that. Know what to do with it. Second, keep 3 books on deck: a book on where you come from, a book on where you want to be, and a book on where you want to go. That could be anything from Baldwin to Food and Wine magazine. I don't know, but keep your space in a past, present, and future. It's very encouraging. It's very motivating to see that movement. I feel. Never compare yourself. I'm not going to say stay off of social. We scroll it. It's there. It's free. It's available. But don't compare yourself to it. Look at it and always think, what would I do? That's one of my favorite things to do. Hit 4 conferences a year. See what the industry is doing. Find a chef. Find a restaurant. Find a community. Find a region. But hit 4 conferences a year. There's small ones and there's really big ones. But there's some really cool perspectives and point of views when you hit a conference and you come out of your own space. Is that 4? 5?
I think you went to 5, 6, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. I can go on.
But it's so profound, like conferences, like people, we got out of, talking about conferences, but, you and I came up in conference, culture, Southern Foodways Alliance, we all talk about beard awards and things like that. You have Tales of the Cocktail. Stephan started, Haiti Food and Wine and things like that. What kind of rewards though, and you talk about these things in what you just said, but really, there has to be something that you're going to there trying to gather out of there? And what kind of reward should you take back from attending these conferences and things like that?
My personal perspective of going to conferences is to get out of my head. When I'm
That's
around,
interesting.
I'm in my head. I'm around yes people, around my family, and around people who are like, yeah, you got it, you got it. The perspective is where we're at. We need to go out and see other people doing what we're doing so we can find our own community, get another perspective, and be in a room of actual people. We're in a digital world right now. We are not able to have access to so many people. So these conferences, you're able to meet people who either wanted to meet you or you're exposed. You've gotten vulnerable. You sat up a table or you've done a pop-up or you've cooked a dish that means, from wherever, but you have the pleasure of being exposed in a different light. And it gets you out of your own head. You may have had an idea that you're going to bring this fancy popcorn or a popcorn cocktail, and you get there and people are like, whoa. And then they give you this point of view that really opens your eyes. Every conference I've been to has changed me every single time. And to what you said, Todd, I've been going to conferences since the first one you took me to, which was Food and Wine. Well, Southern Foodway Alliance was one of the first ones. And then Food and Wine, because you have an idea, but then you get out there and you see everyone else's idea, and it's just like a think tank, and you just are able to gravitate to the industry a bit more and be encouraged and motivated.
So we're about to wrap up here soon. Roots, Heart, Soul podcast. Todd Richards, Chef Stephan, our great guest Tiffany Berrouet on Heritage Radio Network. Chef Stephan, go ahead and start wrapping this up here for right quick.
Before we say goodbye to our listeners, and to Tiffany, this has been an amazing conversation to have with you, and a real pleasure to have you on our podcast. Tiffany, what's next for you, and where do we find you?
Woo! Stay tuned. So yes, everyone's asking. I am currently writing a book. It's not as easy as Todd makes it look. I am very.
That might be the funniest thing you said all night, because it ain't easy.
Everyone is like, "Where's your book? Where's your book? Where's your book?" And I'm like, I have extreme ADHD. I'm also a bartender in mindset, and I'm a very busy woman. So I've been writing a book for some time, but I've been dedicated to it for the past 8 months, starting, August is coming, so 8 months. So I'm writing a cocktail book on culture, color, and cocktails. I co-wrote a book with Miss Tony Tipton Martin, who
the greatest Tony Tipton, right?
Who to see me and wrote a beautiful book, Juice, Juke Joints, and Jazz. And we received an award, not from James Beard, but from Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, because it's a cocktail book. We just received that last week. But I am writing a book. I'm also working on a sugar cube line, a luxury sugar cube line. I've often thought about making syrups in the spirit and all those things, but a sugar cube line, I wanted to be more of in a luxury space, people who enjoy teas, workspaces, people who know what a sugar cube looks like. And it's not just the cube itself, but we're going all the way. We have the melanin line, all brown sugar styles. We have color in so many forms. We have savory, sweet, spicy, salty. Sugar is a background in me, Chef Stephan. We understand, and Chef understands the story of sugar, and rum means so much to me, but the story isn't told. So I'm going to be very strategic in this delivery of having a sugar cube line come out. I'm already in partner with Blue Henry. We did a humongous, beautiful partnership with Brooklyn Tea. We dropped out 25 boxes recently, and they went very, very fast. So look forward to my sugar cube line coming. The book, the sugar cube line. I am.
See, everyone who thinks that Chef Todd is so busy, and and he's busy, and no one else in the world is as busy, and you just drop, I'm like, damn, how's she gonna do all that?
Tiffany,
I know we can find you on social media at The Drinking Coach.
Of course, yes, you can find me on social media. I'm The Drinking Coach on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And TikTok are things that I don't really focus on too much, but working on my TikTok, trying to figure out, and everyone that's listening, if you can, shoot me something in the DM what you really want to see. TikTok is a new space for me, which is missing culture and cocktails. So I want to know if you want to see certain things on there. I'm intimidated by it, but I'm ready to give it to you. I'm full of lots of liquid knowledge. And who knows? You may see me on TV again. Who knows? You
Before,
might.
before we close out the show, one of the things that's very dear to me, because I wouldn't have had the 25-year career that I've had if it wasn't for personal connections like the one I've had with Todd, that became more than a friendship. It's brotherhood. I believe in community. I believe in trying to find a space where we can all connect, especially black and brown chefs, black and brown professionals in the food and beverage industry. Is there such a community? And is it lacking anywhere?
Is there a community for me? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
oh gosh, yes. I I have
Oh,
more community than family. I have more trust in my community than anything. I have so much support. The black bartenders in this world, let alone the U.S., are in numbers. The youth of the black bartenders community is massively supportive to what I have been doing for some time. Education is super big, but my community is a small tribe of women here in Atlanta who are black bartenders of age. We are of culture and age. We are all over 40.
I
All over
could
40.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
All over 40. We are more than friends. We are definitely sisters and hold each other accountable for what needs to be done. But there is a beautiful bar community. There is a bionic community of black. I have a beautiful queer community that holds me down. I have a beautiful liquid community that, to everything we talked about this past hour, that talks about these subjects constantly, just trying to mature the space and make it happen. My chefs have always held me in a special place. They know if they have me, they can call me. Chef Todd and Dwayne have always been my brothers. My sisters are Chef Deborah. Um, there's just so much I can lean on, so much that if I needed it, if I said it out loud, loud enough, I know they would come to my door in less than 10 minutes.
So we got 4 minutes before we close, Chef Todd. I'm gonna follow up with Tiffany to make sure that I confirm her participation in the Creole Food Festival in Atlanta. Um,
absolutely.
because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but it's been, Tiffany. I cannot tell you how much it's been a real pleasure to have you on this podcast. But 2025, when things start to look better in Haiti, you are definitely a person of major interest, because I truly believe in educating the youth, and I truly believe that you have an amazing aura and space, to take a few of the very, very hopeful in the Haitian food and beverage industry, to help them grow, and eventually, not just be stuck, develop themselves into other opportunities. Chef Todd.
Absolutely. So, we're closing out here, Roots Our Soul podcast. Todd Richards, Stephan, Tiffany Berrouet. We really enjoy this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. If you look on IG, you should see all the fan girls and guys over there waving, supporting you. So happy to have you on. We definitely going to make sure we have you back on, and especially as we get closer to the election, because we want to have a different perspective, not just the food perspective, but also the beverage perspective of how we can help shape this country and help to move the food and beverage community, especially for people that look like us, sound like us, talk like us, and most importantly, drink like us. This is Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. Roots Heart and Soul is a cookbook that's written by myself, Chef Todd Richards, along with Amy Condon, on HarperCollins. You can find it in where fine books are sold across the world. And
And
of
this
course,
show, and this show is brought to you
yeah,
by
and
the
this show is brought
brand the
by,
brand new line of
right?
spices
That's
of
right.
Roots Heart and Soul by Chef Todd Richards and Chef Stephan. So please stay tuned as you see it, very soon on your shelves and in your restaurants. This is Chef Stephan saying thank you to everybody for following us, for listening to us. Thank you to Heritage Radio Network. Please stay tuned. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Roots Heart and Soul Podcast. We have our next guest who is as absolutely riveting as Tiffany, and that's the soul food scholar that's going to be joining us next week on the Roots Heart and Soul Podcast.
All right, talk soon. See y'all in the next hemisphere.
Thanks, y'all. Raise a glass.
Or two.